What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. All right, moving on to our power rankings. So we had one team drop out this week, the Orlando Magic. Both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner have cooled off considerably, which has caused their offense to crater. And as a result, they've lost 6 of their last 9 games. So the Magic are out of the rankings for this week. But at number 10, we have a new team, a team that hasn't made the list yet this year. They may have made it once earlier in the year. But the Miami Heat. They're 6-2 in their last 8 games, and their offense is cooking. They're scoring 120 points per 100 possessions. Tyler Herro's been on fire since returning from his injury. 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. 48% from the field, 46% from 3, 85% from the line. So really, really high level, efficient scoring from Tyler Herro. Bam Adebayo is back and has looked great. 2 other guys I want to shout out. Duncan Robinson. I every time I watch the Heat, I'm blown away by how him fixing a simple flaw has made his greatest strength even better. Always was an outstanding shooter and a guy that could shoot on the move. But the ability to chase him off the line and some of his limitations defensively caused his impact to crater, struggled in the rotation for a while. Learned how to dribble and make plays. And by the way, before we go any further, that's not like I called up Hakeem Olajuwon and learned how to be a post player in one weekend. No, that's not what this kind of stuff is. When it comes to ball handling and shooting, footwork as well, for whatever that's worth, which is what makes the Hakeem camp always so funny. But that kind of stuff does not get developed in a month. Doesn't get developed in 2 months. You can go do ball handling drills every single day, 100 straight days, and you're only going to see a marginal improvement. Same goes for every sort of shooting drill. Same goes for footwork stuff. Like, I know because I've done this myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very incremental progress. And like, so when I see stuff like Duncan Robinson going from a guy who couldn't dribble to 2 years later being a guy who like does a pretty decent job of it, it's just a testament to the relentless amount of work that Duncan Robinson has put in to turn himself into a viable off the dribble threat. When you combine that with people having to panic chase him on the perimeter, to chase him behind dribble handoffs and screens, and to basically put them in a trail position constantly, now you've got Duncan Robinson going downhill and making decisions, which is putting the defense in rotation and getting Miami good shots. And then he's also just made a lot of leaps as an off-ball defender. He's got good size and length, and so just by being a player with good instincts that can read plays out on the weak side, which a lot of times those plays on the weak side, like we talked about earlier with Kevin Durant, with it's a lot, or Luka Doncic, I should say. A lot of it has to do with like splitting the difference and like making it feel like you're guarding both guys when you're not. Closing out to passing lanes, like stunting and recovering. All of these things are important elements of help side defense that Duncan's gotten considerably better at. And then Jaime Jaquez Jr. He's bigger and stronger than a lot of NBA perimeter defenders, and he's weaponizing that to get quality shots despite, not being the type of prospect that we're accustomed to seeing in the lottery. And he can bully his way to the rim in transition when he's slashing. He's been an excellent post-up player this year. And so essentially when you put it all together, their core guys have been playing well, and they're getting key contributions from role players, and as a result, they're winning games 6-2 in their last 8. Miami Heat at number 10. Number 9, the Dallas Mavericks, utterly decimated by injuries, but a bona fide MVP season from Luka Doncic has kept them afloat in the standings. Help is on the way. We talked a lot about the Mavs earlier today, so if you're just watching this Power Rankings video, hit the first clip that we released from this particular episode. We did a deep dive in the Mavs and on Luka's MVP case. Number 8, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They beat the Grizzlies without Ja and the Clippers without Kawhi. Then they got manhandled by the Lakers. And that continues to be their biggest weakness. They're small, and that's a death sentence in the Western Conference, in my opinion. I don't think they're capable of beating the Nuggets, the Wolves, or the Lakers 4 times out of 7 as currently constructed. And so I'd like to see them get aggressive at the deadline to try to get someone like a Pascal Siakam or a Jeremy Grant. Lauri Markkanen's a guy that I think actually fits them best because of how good their perimeter defenders are. A guy that could really help them in help side defense and rebounding, and as an outstanding play finisher that'll just push their offense up another level. I'd like to see them get aggressive because this is a really good team with a fatal flaw. And you want to give yourself as many opportunities to try to push over the top as you can. Number 7, Sacramento Kings. They beat the Washington Wizards and Phoenix Suns this week, but then they got crushed at home by the Celtics and the Wolves. And this is a theme that we've been talking about all year. What have I been saying about the Kings? Specifically against teams that have outstanding perimeter defenders that can contain the easy dribble penetration that De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk bring to the table. It causes their offense to stagnate, and then they're not good enough defensively to make up for it. Once again, Boston and Minnesota are two of the very best perimeter defense teams in the league. They're not really in a troublesome position in terms of Sacramento's foot speed. It's an interesting example, and that's another team that I think should be looking to upgrade the 4 for that reason. They need to find another way to break defenses down when their dribble penetration gets contained. Number 6, the Los Angeles Clippers. Their winning streak ended with back-to-back losses to the Thunder and Celtics, but Kawhi Leonard has been out for both of those, and his MVP play has been a huge driving force for this team. So I wouldn't read too much into it, other than it's just a bummer that we didn't get to see the Clippers. Like, it would have been great to see them play OKC in Boston at full strength with how well the Clippers were playing, because it would have helped us learn more about them. But that's just kind of the nature of the NBA regular season at this point. Number 5, the Philadelphia 76ers. Same thing. Embiid's ankle injury kind of stopped us from getting to see another measuring stick game against the Heat on Christmas. But I thought the Minnesota win was super impressive. That was the best defense in the league, still is the best defense in the league, and they had no answer for Joel Embiid. And like, we can talk about officiating all we want, but as I've said, that has nothing to do with Joel. That's a take I have about the league. I've had Sixers fans ripping me new ones in mentions and YouTube comments for like a week and a half now. And it's funny because it's literally an opinion that has nothing to do with Joel or the Sixers. It's 100% focused on the NBA and the officiating. I don't think Joel Embiid is the only foul grifter in the league. I've been calling it out league-wide for everybody. So Sixers fans, it's not an anti-Sixers take. He's my front runner for MVP right now. The Sixers are 5th in my power rankings. Just, what he did to Minnesota, obliterating the best defense in the league, was super impressive. It was probably the single most impressive game I've seen from a superstar player this season. Number 4, the Denver Nuggets. How about a 5-0 week? They're up to 7th in defensive rating for the season now. I happen to catch 3 of those 5 wins, and late game execution just continues to be their biggest advantage over other teams. When they get into a close game late, I just feel like they're going to win the vast majority of the time because of their ability to consistently generate quality shots. Number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks. Lots of things are falling into place for them. Their overall defensive effort is improving in terms of just execution within what their personnel is capable of. The Dame Giannis pick and roll is getting used more often and more effectively. They're running it on an empty side more frequently. Dame's making higher level reads out of it. Chris Middleton, after going for 20 plus points 0 times in his first 17 games this year, he's done so 4 times in the last 8 games. So that's super encouraging. But in a weekend split against the New York Knicks, they got absolutely cut to pieces by Jalen Brunson, who averaged 37 points per game against them and had 3 total turnovers in 2 games. That continues to be their biggest flaw. They are not capable of making opposing ball handlers uncomfortable. We saw this in the Pacers game as well. And in my opinion, especially with a team like Boston waiting for them at the top of the Eastern Conference, I don't think they're capable of beating Boston. I shouldn't say capable. They're just a significant underdog, in my opinion, against Boston unless they can upgrade at the 2 at this point, which we'll see what they can do at the deadline. Number 2, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They beat the Miami Heat, the Lakers, and the Sacramento Kings. Then they lost to the Philadelphia 76ers in the Embiid game that we talked about. I want to shout out Rudy Gobert here for a second. I think he's having the best defensive season that he's had since 2019. He's been incredibly active on a night in, night out basis and has anchored that defense. It has created a lot of more achievable roles for the other players on that team. He also has 36 offensive rebound putbacks this year, which is tied for Nikola Jokic with the 3rd most in the NBA. Combine that with his active screening and him rolling hard to the rim and his vertical spacing. He's been a really, really impactful player and has been one of the primary driving forces behind Minnesota in their breakout season this year. Number 1, the Boston Celtics. Obviously a disappointing loss on Tuesday night against the Golden State Warriors, but then they kicked the shit out of the Kings on the road, kicked the shit out of the Clippers on the road, then go into the Los Angeles against a Lakers team that really wanted to win that game and won comfortably. They are clearly the best team in basketball right now, at least within the context of the regular season. Kristaps Porzingis fundamentally changes the geometry of that team, and I think could end up buying them the margin for error to overcome some of their late game offensive execution issues. Right now, I have them at number 1 in the power rankings.